Good morning, everybody. Okay, we're going to do a quick post this morning, okay? This is a Fox News post. Now, we're going to go over and we're going to show some of these. This is shout out, and that was Nick Sorter, yeah, on Sunday, and who was facing a mob of crazy people, as you can see. Mob of crazies. He's not. Yeah. Can you imagine all of this felony? Nick Sorter, an independent. All right, we're gonna kind of skip ahead. He got out of that safely, thankfully enough. He got out of that safely. All right, and of course. What we now know, though, is so much more with each video we see. DHS is now calling out mainstream media for failing to cover the new video. The agency argues Renee Good was stalking and impeding during an ongoing investigation, and the evidence is on the tape. Speaks for it. I want to say something about that. I saw a video the other day, tragically. Yesterday, I believe it was, where they played the video and you hear her wife in the background screaming at the ICE agents, "Why do you have real ammo?" She said the other word, though. Did they think that they wouldn't? What are people telling these protesters? Because quite obviously they're being trained by someone. And that person is lying to them and telling them nonsensical stories. But what are they telling? Like, why would she even say that? Why would she think they wouldn't have real ammo? I mean, they're there picking up the worst of the worst type of criminals. So yeah, they're going to be packed and fully ready. Anyway, that was tragic because you could hear the anger and hurt and just shock and fear and everything all in her. You could hear all of her emotions coming out. And I believe they're victims as well. And tell you why I believe they're victims. Because they believe the propaganda. They believe the lies. Anyway, so we're going to get back to this because it kind of freaks me out that these people are being told lies and propaganda and they're believing it. And now it's costing some people that everything. On this post. Vice President J.D. Vance says the agent shot Renee Good in self-defense. However, some left-leaning Minnesota leaders, well, they've been rocking a narrative from the beginning, calling it murder. You know how it is, so we know how they feel. Yeah, Renee Nicole Good, as you hear. Ilhan Omar. She's an interesting cat. She came over from Somalia. Then she was married, I guess. The father of her kids, I'm assuming. I don't know. Obviously, I'm going off of what I've heard off of videos. And then she apparently divorced him, married her brother, allegedly, and so he could stay in the country, and then ended up divorcing her brother, allegedly, and allegedly remarrying her first husband. That's not suspect at all. Plus, apparently, she came into the country, apparently, like something like $30,000 in debt. I think they said. I don't know the exact numbers. I think it was like 30 grand or around there in debt. And now she has a net worth of over 30 mil. Now, I know Congress makes a good amount of money. You know, they make, I think, 100, 200,000 a year, to about that, around almost 200,000 a year. Nowhere near to be able to have a net value of over 30 mil. Okay, so where's that coming from? And then all that fraud going on in the state, and she's acting like it's no big deal, laughing it off. I saw a video post of her literally acting like she didn't know what was going on. The woman was asking her questions about the fraud and about the committee meeting. Why didn't she go? And she was like, why should I go? There were people there for the state. And she was like, well, don't you want to defend what's going on or whatever? And she was like, why should I? She really doesn't get it. You all are fraudsters. You broke the law. You stole billions of dollars in taxpayer money. And if you weren't directly involved, then you were complicit in some way. Because there is no way that you and Tim Walz and Jacob Fry didn't know what was going on in your state. You were all buddy-buddy with the Somalians, and so were they. So trust me, we all know the truth. So anything that comes out of this lady's mouth is just gaslighting you.
Her say she's not mad, she's sitting in her car.
She was sitting in her car, smiling, not mad, and then 2 seconds late, not that, now Ilhan Omar is going around saying, oh, she was scared, she was panicked, that's why she did it. Which was she? Was she smiling and not upset, or was she upset and scared? Because you guys keep changing your tune. So I don't know.
Peacefully waving cars to get by.
Anybody can see that this victim is not a domestic terrorist.
She is also not a victim. She brought this tragically upon herself. Okay, let me explain something. When I was a child, if my friends did something stupid and I asked if I could go along and do it, my mom would say something like, if your friends jumped off of a skyscraper, would you? And I would be like, no, because I'm not stupid. Now, if somebody tells you to do something, if it sounds like it's something that could be either dangerous or illegal, here's a suggestion. Don't do it.
I mean, my goodness, she's like doing a 3 or a 4 or 5 point turn.
This guy is such a coward and such an idiot and such a liar. First of all, I didn't even know this man was American until recently, because the only video I ever saw of him was completely in another language. It was in Somalian, which is fine. I don't care. But I didn't know he was the mayor, and I certainly didn't know that he was American. I thought he was a Somalian national or a Somalian refugee or whatever. I don't know.
This looks like somebody that's trying to get out of it.
That is not what it looked like at all. How can you sit there and say that this woman was trying to leave the scene in a panicked state when Ilhan Omar, not even 2 seconds before that, sat there and said she was smiling, waving, being nice, peacefully waving people by? The Democratic Party has lost the plot so deeply at this point that they literally can't even keep their lies straight.
Point turn or 4 point turn is a domestic terrorist, and my wife is a criminal every single day.
Hey, listen, if your wife's a criminal every day, that's on you, that's not on us. But I don't tell people that online, because, you know, your wife might get upset. Just saying. But, and a thing about it, of course they're going on CNN and Jake Tapper. I mean, come on. We all know that the mainstream media, all of it with the exception of, I think, a couple of independent news sources and maybe Fox News. Actually, Fox News is not any better because, and no offense, Fox News, I watch it all the time, but you guys are a little right-leaning. And everybody else is way to the left. So there's no news source that is neutral unless you go independent news sources. Like Nick Shirley or Nick Sorter.
Okay, well, it's clear he doesn't know how to drive.
All right, so this is the part I wanted to get to. I absolutely love The Five. Now, we're going to watch The Five together and see what they think about this.
Turn going on there, but what I did see was what you saw.
Yeah, what videos have they been watching? I mean, the most important video that has been published to date is that one on Friday by Alpha News, and it gives the perspective of the ICE officer. And that you can clearly see that Good accelerated towards the police officer. You can also hear the thump of his body when he was hit by the car.
I'm going to pause right there because I wanted to say that I put on my post. Because when I watched the video, I made a post about it. And I even said, because somebody had made the comment, oh, he wasn't run over. Okay, you guys are playing semantics now because, no, you're right. He wasn't run over, technically, but he was indeed hit. Matter of fact, he was hit so hard that you could hear the clothing be pushed back, is what I said. And she's saying the same thing. Basically, you heard the thunk of the car making contact with the officer.
You can also see the antagonizing that took place by her partner.
The come on, big boy. Go get a bite to eat, big boy. What you have for breakfast, pig, and all this other nonsense. Oh, we don't change our plates. Oh, da 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 da.
In the lead up to this event as well, in my opinion, it absolves the police officer or the ICE agent from wrongdoing here. But for these protesters and also the Walz administration and Democrats in Minneapolis and Minnesota, this is what they're defending. Our own Bill Malhusian tweeted out a list that ICE put out of some of the individuals that.
And I want you guys to pay attention to this part because this part's important. These are the people that these protesters are protecting. Okay, Minnesotians, I want you guys to listen. All over the country, listen. This list, these are the people that you're defending. They're protesters, okay?
They have captured in this surge in Minneapolis. And we are talking about dozens of the worst. Convicted child rapists, sodomizers, plus 10 killers. We're talking about one individual sexual assault and sodomy of a girl under 13 years old. Another individual rape of a 12-year-old and kidnapping. Another individual homicide. Another 3 counts of homicide. So why exactly?
They sound like real good, upstanding members of society now, don't they? Why are you protecting these people? Especially if you have children.
Are these individuals protecting these killers, these sodomizers, and these child rapists? And why is Minnesota giving them sanctuary? It's disgusting.
And that's another thing, this sanctuary city nonsense and state nonsense. I live in the great state of New York. I won't exactly say where for obvious reasons, but I live in the great state of New York. Well, the once great state of New York until the Democrats destroyed it. Because apparently New York is trying to sue the federal government along with Minnesota and 2 other blue states. We don't agree with them. Just like every other blue state, there are some people that agree with the Democratic leaders, and that there are quite a few now, especially now, that do not agree with the Democratic leaders. Especially now. New York, during the next election, not New York City, because everybody seems to forget this. There's more to New York than just the Big Apple. There's a lot more to New York than just the Big Apple. Okay, New York is a very big state with a lot of people in it. a lot of people who do not necessarily agree with the Democratic way that has been going on as of late. Because we definitely don't agree with Zoran Mamdani. If we had a say in that vote, he would not be elected right now. I don't think. I could be wrong, but being a New Yorker, born and bred, I can tell you I don't think I am. Our great governor, Kathy Hochul, has decided that she wants to take on this cause as well, even though New Yorkers do not agree with her. This is why during the next governor election, New Yorkers will be voting red. I pray. I know I'm voting red. My husband's voting red. Simply because we're not voting for Kathy Hochul again. Not if she wants to keep protecting criminals. Just saying. Let's get back to the news.
Listen to 18 United States Code 111 states it's a felony to forcibly assault, resist, oppose, impede, intimidate, or interfere with federal officers. And there you see it right now.
Okay, so did you guys get that? All you protesters, regardless of what the left tells you. Hold on, let me get rid of the closed captioning so I can read it to you guys just in case. This is for the protesters, okay? Just in case they lie to you and tell you you can't get in trouble for this. Forcible interference. It is a felony under 18 U.S.C. 111 to forcibly assault, resist, oppose, impede, intimidate, or interfere with federal officers. And yes, that includes ICE agents. So, if you interfere with ICE, if you impede ICE in any way, you can, in fact, be charged with a felony.
Emily, I want to ask you about the law and how it applies to the wife, because she was taunting. She can be seen and heard very clearly on video. In fact, she's got to have her own, because a lot of it she's taping. So I wonder if they have that too from her perspective.
I'll say this too, and this is just my personal opinion from watching those videos, but you can see the wife trying to get into the vehicle,
Yes.
and then it's her voice, there's multiple layers of voices, but her voice that says, hey, hey, because the driver is driving away and isn't letting her in. So there's like all of these different slices of the pie that are occurring simultaneously. And my point is that to me is evidence that Nicole was not, or that the subject was not fleeing, per se, because if she was, she would have waited for her wife to get in the car. There was something else going on, and this will be presented before likely a jury to determine that. I want to talk about for a second the Nick Sorter attacks.
And that is exactly right. They want to tell you that she was trying to flee the scene, that she panicked and was trying to flee. And it was an accident that she was running over the ICE agent or running into the ICE agent or aiming at the ICE agent or what have you. That's BS. Because I don't know about many partners or wives or husbands, but I know I don't think I'd leave my husband standing on the side of the road while I drove off and left his ass. I'd let him in the car with me. Now, here's the main problem that I see. A young mother is no longer with us due to her actions and bad judgment. Her wife, I don't think they should charge her with anything. She has to live with that for the rest of her life. For the remainder of her life, she has to live with the fact that she was with her wife when this happened, that she told her, as she said, because it was heartbreaking to hear her say this, but she was like, this is my fault. I made her come. That tells me, tragically, that you didn't really believe that you would be doing something that could cause both of you or one of you harm. You honestly thought you would just, I don't know what lies they told you, but you're a victim in the sense that of the propaganda. You're a victim of the propaganda. You're a victim of the Democratic Party lying to you guys. Because that's exactly what happened. They lied to y'all. ICE agents are federal law enforcement. They are not kidnapping people. They are arresting criminals. Some criminals, the worst of the worst, as you heard. So, yeah. And the next one's about Nick Sorter, independent journalist. He got, they're trying to attack these independent journalists because they're a threat. Since when is it a threat to have the truth come out? Since when is it a threat to have honesty come out? And the protesters shocked me that they would go after him. Because why? What did he do wrong? He's just reporting on what you guys are protesting. Why are you trying to harm him? I mean, you guys don't get it. If you have a problem with ICE, you protest peacefully and you speak your grievance in a calm, adult, rational way. Not like a hysterical lunatic. Like I saw so many people, like one guy he had long hair. He was going on and on about ICE and how people need to stop. People need to start just being super vital. Not the answer, not the solution. Violence is never the answer. It is never the solution. Remember that. Now, as for immigrants, I don't have a problem with immigrants. I have a problem with immigrants who come into this country illegally, break our laws, and continue to break our laws. And then you have protesters, such as yourselves, who are out there running your mouths, screaming stupid sentences that you don't even understand yourself half the time. Because some of these people don't even know what the hell they are protesting. There was a reporter going around talking to the protesters at one of these events. They didn't even know what the hell they were protesting for. They just said they came out in support of them. They're like, do you even know what the protest is? They're like, no. But we don't like Trump and we got to protest Trump. Get the hell out of here. Maybe try to change the voter base in a legal way. If you don't like the Republican choice that we made, tough shit. The majority won, just like in 2020 when you guys got your little Biden-Harris. We didn't like it, but we dealt with it. Even though it turned out that was all fraudulent. Illegals voting and they weren't supposed to. No voter ID. Thank God President Trump made an executive order and changed that law where voter ID is now required. Oh, and no SNAP benefits to any people who are in the country without the proper documentation. Gee, that's tough. That means no free ride.
And accountability of those people. I think what's interesting, Nick really talked about this recently on a podcast. He said, I was a journalist, but now I've been forced into activism. Because I was attacked simply for reporting the truth, now I actually do have to take a stand and say my opinion because it's those liberal, left-wing, violent activists. We talk about all the time that the Dems say, or the libs say, they were trained activists. Well, if you were trained, you should know the law. And you should know that your motor vehicle becomes a deadly weapon. And you should know what exactly is towing the line and what exactly is putting an officer in imminent threat of bodily harm or people around you.
Maybe they do.
And not saying that anything, but it's BS. Even if you're trained or whatever, you gotta know the laws. You gotta know that when you take itchy arm. When you take your vehicle and turn it into a 3,000 or 2,000 pound missile, basically, yeah, you need to be held accountable for that. We got to stop this. This nonsense needs to stop. We're better than this. Now, every couple decades, this happens. The last time we had all these protests, I guess it was during the Summer of Love, and then prior to that, and that we all found out was just nonsense. That wasn't, not even going to go there. Anyway, we're going to move on past that and right down to the 60s. Those were protests. Now, that being said, you didn't see them turning all crazy like that with in the 60s in those protests. They weren't violent to my knowledge. And yes, what really makes me crazy is they bring their children now to these protests. You picked up Hamas tactics? You're using your children as human shields. I never saw something so disgusting in my entire life than a young mother in her car driving to a vigil with her young child who could barely talk. That child had to be about 2 or 3 years old. And she's telling about how ICE is bad and ICE is evil. And this is what she's telling her child. Talk about indoctrination.
You know it. They don't care. But I tell you, one name comes to mind, and that's Charlie Kirk. And he was not an independent journalist. You don't need a title. You don't need a title for...
Okay, that's pretty much it on that reporting that I want to do on that story. But here's the main thing, guys and gals. In every country, and this is for all you liberals out there and you leftists who have been acting like lunatics. My hair is all over the place. Anyway, this is specifically for you guys. Every generation has their moments that they remember, that they say, this was our defining moment type of thing. Now I want to ask y'all something. Is this your defining moment? And I say that because Renee Good, I think that was her name, Renee Good. She was a mom. This is true. She was probably a very loving, fun-loving woman. Probably a wonderful human being who would kind and giving and would give the shirt off her own back, probably. I don't know her, obviously, but that seems like the type of personality everybody keeps saying that she was. Her family, her friends, the people that knew her. Her wife, I guess, all that. And I bet that a lot of the protesters are just nice people who think they're doing a good thing, who think they're being patriotic. And there's a reason why I say that. Because I watched a video yesterday in which a protester was talking about, I mean, I don't agree with his messaging because obviously he was making veiled, very veiled, with his, pew, pew, that, anyway. And he showed us, and then, pointing, and then he showed us the target that had a couple centers punched out, and you got the idea kind of deal. And anyway, the one thing he said that struck me is that we were reaching tipping point. And Americans are tired of this. He is right on a couple of things, and I'll tell him what. One, We are at a tipping point. And two, Americans are tired of this. But the overwhelming majority of the Americans that are tired of this nonsense that's going on are the ones that voted for Donald J. Trump. And the only thing that's happened since the election, because the Democrats keep doing stuff like this, like they're doing currently, their rating is at like, I don't know, last time I saw it was like something ridiculous, like 6%. That's how low it was. There are more people that agree with Donald Trump at this point in time that don't. And there are a lot more of us that stand with ICE than don't. Now, yes, you may have a big crowd in Minnesota. Yeah, you might. Just like you might have a crowd in another state that you go to, in another state that you go to, like California or Portland or wherever. But if every single American that voted for Donald Trump decided to pick a day and say, this is our moment, we're doing our protests, counter protests, we stand with ICE, it would blow yours away. Yours would be forgotten in an instant. That's how many more people are with ICE than against ICE. Do we understand that? That's the first thing. The second thing is, again, for those protesters that do not know the law, it is against the law to impede, stalk, harass, and just be a general pain in the ass to ICE agents. And goodness forbid if you put your hands on them, because that's a first-class trip right to the jail cell. We have a lot more going on in our world, on our planet. We're about 2 seconds away from a war. Again, but this time with Iran, with not the Iranian people, but with the Iranian regime. And of course, that's going to get China and Russia all up in arms. And then we got this whole thing with Greenland going on. We got too much stuff going on that we don't need to be dealing with this nonsense at home. Okay? Now, that being said, I have the one thing, and my husband and I were talking about this last night. The one thing Americans have always been was united. I mean, we've had our moments like the Civil War where we weren't. I'm not saying we were always 100%, never ever didn't divide it, because that's obviously not true. But we, on the big things, if we had a common enemy, we became united very quickly. Remember 9/11? For those millennials who might not remember, or Gen Z who have no idea what I'm talking about, you know, I don't know what the generational, if you guys were around for 9/11, if you were kids for that, or what have you, but we united instantaneously against one common enemy. Why can't we do that now? And that common enemy are invaders to our country. You guys are defending people who were convicted of crimes against kids, crimes against women. They weren't just charged and let go. No. They were convicted of these crimes and then released because of sanctuary city policies. Sanctuary city policies invite crime. Sanctuary city policies invite chaos. We need to get rid of sanctuary cities the policies, I mean. Obviously, we don't get rid of cities, but I mean, the policies, that whole sanctuary. There's no sanctuary. America's no longer a sanctuary. We're done with that. Okay, we're done with the wide open borders. We're done with the sanctuary nonsense. It's done. That's why the funding's getting frozen, all of it. And I live in a blue state. And I am so happy they are freezing all of the funding. Because then maybe the nonsense will stop. He needs to sign the Insurrection Act and put everybody back in line. Because this is getting ridiculous. You do not assault ICE agents. Somebody's going to be harmed again if this keeps up. That woman should have been home today with her babies and her wife. Not what happened. But we got Democratic leaders who are doing things like calling ICE agents the Gestapo. That's not okay. We need to stop the crazy rhetoric on both sides and come together as one country under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Remember that? It's a pledge. Used to stand, put her hand on her heart, and go, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all. I remembered it, yay. Anyway, that's it for this morning. I hope you all have a wonderful day. And remember, be kind to one another. God loves you. Don't forget, like and subscribe for more. Peace out. Catch you on the flip.